Hello everyone, this is a workshop on how to reflect for an art critique. My name is Eduardo and this workshop is developed by my colleagues Veronica and Keith and I from the NSC Writing Center. In the workshop we'll be going over reflective questions to help assist in y'all thinking about your assignment. To start, I have this general overview slide of what we will be discussing. In this workshop we're going to be starting by discussing what an art critique is. We'll try to summarize some of the expectations set by a professor and some tips to keep in mind while writing your art critique. Following that, we'll have an activity. During the activity, we'll provide an artwork and some reflection questions to answer while you critique the provided piece. This activity will act as your sort of proof that you attended the workshop to your professor. I'll cover that a little bit more in detail when we get to that slide. After the activity, we'll have additional reflection questions for you to consider as you're in your process of writing your critique so that you'll have some additional support. And in the end of the workshop, we'll provide some links to additional writing resources for you to use beyond the workshop, including some handouts and availability if you wanted to have an online session. So starting off, what is an art critique? An art critique is an evaluation or discussion of visual art, which facilitates the understanding of the purpose and importance of a specific artistic project. Your art critique should include your reaction to the artwork and reflection on your thought process while you're viewing the artwork. While writing your art critique, you'll be expected to dig deeper beyond your surface level interpretation. If you're finding it difficult to understand a piece and its purpose or meaning, you may consider thinking about what other critics have said about the piece instead of providing a negative response. You can think about what makes it difficult to understand. Um, and so with the art critique, there's an aspect that you want to consider in having to think deeply. Many different pieces will appeal different to different sensibilities. Sometimes they appeal on more of a surface level based on colors, lighting, and presentation, and others may require more background knowledge to be fully understood. When evaluating your piece, you'll want to consider different elements of the piece, aesthetics, background, purpose, etc. So starting off on the activity now, during this activity, we would like you to evaluate this art piece um, using the questions we provided here. This is actually a piece of art that we have in our writing center here. Take about 30 minutes to absorb the piece and follow up with answering the questions provided here. You can write them out into a document and then turn them into your professor. And I'll go ahead and read through these questions as well, but feel free to pause the video and read the questions to yourself, or pause the video so my voice isn't influencing your perception of the art. First question, what are your first impressions and reaction to this art piece? Why did you react specifically that way? How does your eye movement move during the artwork? Is there a reason for this? Was it intended by the artist's choice for their audience? Would you say the artist's purpose, message, or meaning is clear? How long did it take to understand the artwork? Why do you think it took that amount of time? After looking at this artwork, what connections can you make to the world around you? Was there anything that stood out to you? Any patterns, techniques, etc.? How did it make you feel? Frustrated, surprised, confused? And lastly, how does this artwork impact your future understanding of art or pieces, or even possibly your own? Once you've completed this task, there should be a place or opportunity for you to submit your answers to your professor accompanying this video. So that'll serve as your proof for participating and attending this online workshop. So now you've completed your reflection questions in that activity. Here are just some additional reflection questions and reminders to keep in mind as you're creating and writing your art critique. These aren't mandatory or anything like that. They're just something to keep in mind. So the first one is think about visual art. What relationships and or connections, similarities and differences can be inferred between pieces? Why do you think that is? Try closing your eyes and picture what you can remember. Describe it out loud or to another person. What would you say first and why? What makes it memorable? Has any reactions or impressions changed before, during, after evaluating a piece? What values and beliefs come from this particular piece? the artist or visual art itself. And so, like I said, of course, you're not limited to these types of questions as you're creating your critique, but these are just some additional questions to keep in mind as you're reflecting on how a particular piece impacts you and the response you have to it. Next, we have some Writing Center resources here. So the first link here will direct you to a page on how to make an online appointment to have a session online. So for these, thankfully, you don't need to be in our space physically to receive help. Um, and the way that they're set up is they're similar to um, somewhat of like a Skype meeting where we'll be able to view your writing at the same time. And so there is a video at the bottom of that link as well on how to make an appointment specifically. The next link covers the Writing Center expectations page. It specifically covers and focuses on in-person sessions, but the expectations are similar for online sessions. It will cover what you can expect in terms of planning for a session and what we can discuss in a session. And lastly, the last link is some additional writing resources provided on our Canvas page. These include different sources on things such as MLA or APA, as well as handouts on various writing related topics, such as writing an introduction or conclusion. And so these are some general information and some resources to further assist you. They may be beneficial for this particular assignment or not, and that's okay. It's important just to keep these in mind. They may be beneficial to you as you're doing other writing tasks for your classes. And so that's everything. Thank you for watching. Feel free to go back and look over any parts you may want more time on. Go ahead and pause on them if you'd like. This is again was a workshop brought to you by the NSC Writing Center, created by my colleagues Keith, Veronica, and myself. My name is Eduardo, and so I hope you have a great day. Take care.